ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 31, Texts 24 and 25. पतितो भुव्यसृन्मिश्राः विष्ठा भूरिव चेष्टते रोरूयति गते ज्ञाने विपरीतां गतिं गतः। पतितो भुव्यसृन्मिश्राः विष्ठा भूरिव चेष्टते रोरूयति यत गते ज्ञाने विपरीतं गतिं गतः। पतितो भुव्यसृन्मिश्राः विष्ठा भूरिव चेष्टते रोरूयति गते ज्ञाने विपरीतं गतिं गतः। परच्छन्दं न विदुषा पुष्यमानो जनेन सह अनाभिप्रेतमापन्ना प्रत्- प्रत्याख्यातुम् अनीश्वरः। परच्छन्दं न विदुषा पुष्यमानो जनेन सह अनभिप्रेतमापन्ना प्रत्याख्यातुमनीश्वरः। परच्छन्दं न विदुषा पुष्यमानो जनेन सह अनभिप्रेतमापन्ना प्रत्याख्यातुम् अनीश्वरः। Synonyms: patitaha, fallen; bhuvi, on the earth; asrik, with blood; mishraha, smeared; vishtabhu, a worm; Iva, like; Cheshtate, he moves his limbs; Roruyati, cries loudly; Gati, being lost; Gnane, his wisdom; Viparitham, the opposite; Gathim, state; Gataha, gone to. Parachandam, the desire of another; Na, not; Vidusha, understanding; Pushyamanaha, being maintained; Janena, by persons; Saha, he; Anabhipretam, into undesirable circumstances; Apanna, fallen; Prat- Pratyakyatum, to refuse; Anishvaraha, unable. Translation, unpurported by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Translation for the verse 24. The child thus falls on the ground, smeared with stool and blood, and placed just like a worm germinated from the stool. He loses his superior knowledge and cries under the spell of Maya. After coming out of the abdomen, the child is given to the care of persons who are unable to understand what he wants, and thus he is nursed by such persons, unable to refuse whatever is given to him. He falls into undesirable circumstances. Purport. Once again. Within the abdomen of the mother, the nourishment of the child was being carried on by nature's own arrangement. The atmosphere within the abdomen was not at all pleasing, but as far as the child's feeding was concerned, it was being properly done by the laws of nature. But upon coming out of the abdomen, the child falls into a different atmosphere. He wants to eat one thing, but something else is given to him because no one knows his actual demand and he cannot refuse the undesirables given to him. Sometimes the child cries for the mother's breast, but because the nurse thinks that it is due to pain within his stomach that he is crying, she supplies him some bitter medicine. The child does not want it, but he cannot refuse it. He is put in very awkward circumstances, and the suffering continues. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललितः श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So in this chapter we have seen a detailed description of a birth of a child. This is a conversation between Kapaladev and the Mother Devahuti. Um, yeah, it starts. Lord Kapila, this chapter is titled as Movements of the Living Entities, and it is well defined because this chapter carries all the important stuff. Um, it's different activities. If someone says, do you have a proof in the scriptures? Do you have a proof in Srimad Bhagavatam about a birth of a child, how a child is born? So this is a chapter we should refer to. There are few other places in the Hindu scriptures, like Rig Veda and some other scriptures about the birth of a child. But if one is particularly looking for a proof of the birth of a child, then this is the chapter we have to look forward to. And um, what does it contain? Is Lord Kapaladev starts and defines it so beautifully um, on the growth of the actually how the baby is born, how the baby first how the process of the development of the baby in the womb of mother. So, if you compare this to the modern scientists, what they are finding out, there is one article here. It's really beautiful. So we can see and compare it. It exactly matches. Meaning, when there was no science or when there was no um, research or any kind of things that were happening on the material platform, then only all this was were already written down. All this were defined, or all this were explained very well, not to the detail, not just on the higher level or some summary. No, it has very good details of how a child is born. Um, so that science currently in this material world is called as embryology. So there was a article which explains um, which 90% matches with what is 90% matches means whatever is given in here is perfectly right, and it accepts with everything. Mostly when I say 90%, because some parts of what is explained here, this in this chapter, some parts of this explanation is missing in embryology, because they don't have those details. So the details what we have got in this Srimad Bhagavatam is much better or much detailed than what they have found so far. So, for example, in the second verse of this chapter, it says that kalam tvayeka ratrena means in one night, or when the one night passes, meaning one day of time, what happens? The sperm and ovum mix. So, kalalam, yeah. So it is called the zygote in embryology, right? Or fertilized ovum. And in the same way, in the fifth day, pancharatrena budbudam. So pancha in fifth day, they say that there will be a bubble kind of uh, matter is formed. So that was accepted by embryology again. They say that yes, a bubble stage appears in 5 nights. They explain that. And dasahenatu karkandu peshi andam vatata param. So it it is called a solid round mass of cells. So that's what they say. And in this chapter, it is explained that a plum-like form or a ball-like form or solid structure or round mass of cells is formed. So this is what embryology says. So like this, it continues till the seventh month, and it actually matches. Now, why we have spoken about this is that if we go to the next level of the descriptions here, um, if if all these versus matches, all the previous or predecessor versus matches, then with embryology or science, then we should also believe that um, even though science doesn't have the technology as of now to understand or to get into the to the details of what happens to the life, if there is a life or not, kind of questions comes in, then they have to understand that if this half part is correct, then the next half should be the correct also. Next half should be right also. So that is where I want to bring this conversation to. So if we see here in the we're in the 24th verse. So what happens just before the 24th verse, what happened? Um, the 10-month-old living entity has these desires even while in the womb. So what are those desires? Therefore, so yeah, we'll talk about it. But while he thus extols the Lord, basically he's praying to the Lord, the living entity, and extols the Lord. The wind that helps part parturition propels him forth with his face downward, turned downward, so that he may be born. So he was suffering in the womb of a mother, right? He was suffering in the womb of a mother with multiple things, and the detailed explanation is given. We'll come back later on that. So the last suffering he has to go through is coming out of mother's body, coming out of a mother's womb to this material world. So this is considered to be the worst experience of out of all these 10 months he was in the body. There were sufferings there, but this is like um, he was the airs in the mother's womb turns the head downwards and pushes him out of the mother's body. So yeah, so 23rd verse continues with this 22nd verse, pushed downward all of a sudden by the wind, right? All of a sudden, it was pushed with force. He doesn't want to come out. He was praying to the Lord that I don't want to go out because once I go out, because of the airs of material nature, I'll forget everything and I don't want to go out. That's what he expressed. The desire he expressed here was I don't want to go out, but the winds are in such a way that they just push him out unwillingly. The child comes out with great trouble, head downward, breathless, and deprived of memory due to severe agony. So this is the he goes through severe agony. Coming out of mother's body is not easy. So he goes through severe agony, and he with that agony he forgets everything. Now we'll start with the um, verse 24. पतितो भुव्यास्त्रिन् मिश्राः विष्ठाभुर् इव चेष्टते रोरूयति गते ज्ञाने विपरीतं गतिं गतः. So patito, that fallen, he falls down, fallen on the earth, meaning he comes out of the body of mother, right? How is he fallen? What is he look? What does he look like? He looks like Ashrin Misraha. Ashrin means stool and blood, basically stool. So that body is mixed with stool. Mishra means smeared with stool. If he was smeared with stool, and Prabhupada points out as blood. Vishtabhur iva chestate. Vishtabhur. Vishtabhur means worm. A worm in the stool is called as Vishtabhur, right? A worm in the stool, when it comes out, I heard, or I read that it has lots of it just goes very active, like active in the sense like shaking and shaking limbs and whole body and trying to get out, or it doesn't know where it came because it was very warm inside and nicely, but when it come out it doesn't know where it goes through. So see the and our Kapila Dev is comparing the body or a living entity or a child to this worm which came out. If you remember correctly, in the 31st canto itself, the same canto, 10th verse, uh, Kapildev compares Vishtabur Iva Shodraha, the body, sorry, the living entity or the child to a Vishtabur Sodaraha. Sodaraha means um, brother. Sa Udara. Udara means womb. Saha is the one with the same womb, right? Sodara. Sodara means brother. So how is a brother or sister? Sodari is sister, Sodara is a brother. So Kapildev is comparing the womb and the child to be the brothers or sisters. Like he's telling that brothers or sisters because they came from the same body. Like as a mother's from the mother's stool came the worm, and the child came through the same body. So they are like brothers. And now he's comparing in this 24th verse that in the 24th verse he's comparing it's yeah, Vishtapur Iva Cheshtate. He's acting as his brother, exactly like his brother, because when the worm comes out, it goes fully active. And similarly, this boy or the girl or the child, whoever came from the body of a mother, they scream and they move their bodily parts, head and hands and limbs vigorously. Um, just he was comparing that scene to the worm coming out of the stool. So Ruyati Gate Gnane, he was crying. Why was he crying? He's crying because he was lost his gnane, he lost his wisdom. So by losing his wisdom, he's crying. If he remembered what he remembered in the mother's womb, that he is a part of if he remembered what he remembered in the mother's womb, that he has been here and he doesn't want to come out, and he was praying to the Lord that protect him, and you are the only source of my protection because you are here with me as Paramatma. So those are the realizations that living into that soul had while it was while suffering in the mother's womb. But now, because he came out with agony, and because the three material modes have captured his senses now, he lost everything. He lost the wisdom, and he is crying. If he had not lost that knowledge, he would not have cried. Maybe he knew that, okay, Krishna, this is the thing which I just have to go through and finish it. So this life I have to finish it. But that's not the case here. Um, Now, Viparitam Gatim Gataha. Viparitam. Viparitam means he was some other thing in the womb, but when he completely became different. Opposite of what he was in the womb. In the womb, what was he doing? He was praying to the Lord. What were the prayers he had? Let's go through. So prayers he was telling from verses 12 to 21. He's saying that I take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord, who appears in his various eternal forms, who walks on the earth and who awards fearlessness. Being sinful, I got the situation from him. This situation from him. I'm lying in the womb due to Maya, but he's also here with me, but is unaffected and changeless. Although unlimited, he is perceived in the repentant heart. So, like this, the verses goes on. And one verse I was telling before is that who else but Paramatma residing in all beings through all phases of time can give this knowledge to a person like me? Therefore, we should surrender unto him only to destroy our misery. So he had such a great knowledge because he was going through all that painful situation. Um, this child had was praying, putting his hands together, and he was praying, bowing down his head, like bending his head and putting his hands together. He was praying to the Lord. But eventually, when he came out, he forgot everything. Viparitam, he came completely become different or opposite of what he had in the mother's womb, right? So the next step is Parachandam Navidusha Pushyamano Janena Saha Anabhipretam Apanna Pratyakhyatu Manishwaraha. So Parachandam, no one is he had some desire, the desire of other. Now Vidusha, they can understand. No one could understand him, right? Vidusha means understanding. Now Vidusha is not no one is Parachandam, the desire of another. Now Vidusha, they could not understand. Who are they? They are the people surrounding the child. When the child came out, There are so many people, nurses, doctors, and family members, but none of them are trying to understand. They don't understand the language of the baby. They don't understand the language of the child. They don't understand the requirements of the child or the desires of the child at that moment. So what is happening here? Prachandam Navidusha, Pushamano Janenasa. So after coming out of the abdomen, the child is given to the care of people. Pushamana means to taking care. So the child was given to the care of people who doesn't even understand him. Pushamana being maintained, Janena by persons. Okay. Anavipretam into undesirable circumstances, he was fallen. So what is it say? Okay, whatever he wants, and thus he is nursed by such persons. They don't understand, but they're trying to nurse him. Unable to refuse whatever is given to him, he falls into undesirable circumstances. So he completely falls into undesirable circumstances. So Srila Prabhupada mentions, within the abdomen of the mother, the nourishment of child was being carried on by nature's own arrangement, right? Isn't it the nature's arrangement? If mother takes food, that food was delivered, the nutrition of the food was delivered to the baby automatically. So that is a great arrangement of the Lord. And all the living entities, not only and all the living entities, meaning most of the living entities. Some others they nourish with the seeing, watching the, like for example, turtle. I heard that lays the eggs, or some types of fish. They lays the eggs and goes. Sorry, they lays the egg and they keep watching the eggs. Just by watching, they get nourished. Okay, and they get nourishment required for their growth, and they become the babies, healthy babies. They come out of healthy babies. So mostly when the children are um, nourished in the stomach or in the womb of a mother, then the Lord has made such a nice arrangement that they get the food or the nourishment which, or nutrition, whatever that baby requires, comes from the mother's intake, right? So yeah, the atmosphere within the abdomen was not at all pleasing, but as far as the child's feeding was concerned, it was being properly done by the law of nature. So, even though the atmosphere in the womb was not conducive for that living conditions, because it was too tight, and the child was bitten by the worms, and then we saw that all those explanations in the previous verses. So it was being proper, but at least the nourishment part, at least the nutrition part, was taken care by the laws of nature through the mother's feeding. But upon coming out of the abdomen, the child falls into a different atmosphere. So mother's womb gives him protection. The child has a lot of protection. Protection in the sense of protection from the external influences of weather and other things, right? But when he comes out, he's all alone. He has no protection. There is no barrier, right? Or there is no um, some shield for him. But in mother's home, he was at least had some kind of protection. That baby, he came out. It's completely different atmosphere. He was influenced to the material modes. He was touched by the he or she, any child was touched by the air and the atmosphere. So what happens? Um, it's completely different. He wants to eat one thing, but something else is given to him because no one knows his actual demand and he cannot refuse the undesirables given to him. So baby came out. Maybe he wants something. No one can understand. He was screaming and people are laughing and they're happy. They're smiling. Oh, baby has life, and they get super happy about the baby. But think about the baby's condition. Baby is trying to say something. Baby wants something. See the how do we know baby wants something? Uh, because Srimad Bhagavatam says that, and also the mind, intelligence, and falsehood is the same thing. It's covered to the soul, and they came with the soul. So all the desires, whatever is there, all are already implemented. They're already there, um, in the body. So if a child desires for something, right? He cannot express what he wants. So the people around him, um, they don't understand, and they provide him with something else, something other than what the baby was desiring. Then there are situations like that. So sometimes the child cries for the mother's breast, but because the nurse thinks that is due to pain within the stomach that he is crying, she supplies him with some better medicine, right? If a child uh, wants the milk, the pure nutrition milk from the mother, um, but because he was crying, uh, nurse thinks that it may be because of the pain in the stomach and gives a bitter medicine. Think about that situation, right? You're asking someone to give rasgulla, and they give you some hot something. When you are desiring to eat some nice sweet of rasgulla or something like that, someone is giving you some um, um, karela, right? Like the bitter gourd. So what do you feel? And you're not able to express it out. And if the adults get that position, they'll show this anger and they slap the other person. But now the child has no power and no way to express. So what would the child do? So that is the situation we are in. You're asking for something and you're getting something else, right? But because the nurse thinks that it is due to the pain within the stomach that he's crying, she supplies him with some bitter medicine. The child does not want it, but he cannot refuse it. This is another situation. Now, if you're adult, we can tell, hey, I asked for rasgulla, not karela or kadwa something. Then we have that way of expressing, but the child cannot even express. That is the situation the child is in. The child cannot even express. The child does not want it, but he cannot refuse it. Forget about wanting, he cannot even refuse it, meaning he was forced to get that what he doesn't want to get. So that is the situation of the child here. He's put in very awkward circumstances and the suffering continues. So this way, the child will be put in multiple, like, till he grows 3 or something, till he can speak. That is the same situation. He doesn't want, um, he doesn't want something, but um, no one understands what he wants, and he was served with something else. So yeah, we always assume like maybe this is a gas, that's why he's crying. Maybe he's hungry, that's why he's crying. Maybe he has stomach pain, that's why he's crying. Like, when Prabhupada said bitter medicine is basically, they in Indian culture they give joyful, right? Now they scrub the joyful and they feed it super bitter, and that's what I think Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here. So what we're saying is like, child was asking for something and we're giving something else, and that is the situation of the child that comes out of the womb. And this chapter goes on with multiple other topics, nice ones, till the boy or till the child becomes, childhood also explains a little bit, and it ends with nice verse, endowed with right vision and strengthened by devotional service and a pessimistic attitude towards material identity, one should relegate his body to his illusory world through his reason. Thus, one can be uncovered within this material world. So, he gives a solution. Kapila Dev gives a solution how to get out of this material world, and why we have to get out of this material world, because this is not what we wanted. This is not what we are, and yeah, this goes like that. Thank you very much for attentive hearing. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so let's conclude the class. Madhupati Prabhu is not here. Let's conclude this class with prayers, what we usually do. I don't know the sequence, but I'll try to. Let's try to chant Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let's offer our obeisances to Nrsingadev for the protection of all the living beings, especially the people all around us, so that we have a good day coming up. Sri Narsimha, Jai Jai Narsimha. प्रह्लादेश जया पद्मा मुखा पद्मा भृंग उग्रं वीरं महाविष्णुं ज्वलन्तं सर्वतोमुखं नरसिंहं भीषणं भद्रं मृत्युर्मृत्युं नमाम्यहम्. Okay, that's it for today, and we'll close this by chanting the mantras and taking the blessings of the Vaishnavas. Vanchakalpa tarubhescha kripa sindhubhyo eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavi namo.
नमो नमः.
Vaishnavavrinda ki jai.
जय.
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.